Hello, Science and Magic. Welcome. I am going to do something a bit different today and share live for the first time ever on my own. I've done live streams with guests and things like that, but yeah, I don't know. I was in a midday bath and I just had this creative download and this intuition of let's try going live and see how that goes. So as you log in, please feel free to say hi in the chat and let me know where you're listening from. One of the reasons I wanted to go live is because my channel is slowly growing and I love connecting with all of you. And I think this is a different way to connect in live and real time form. So today I wanted to talk about the energy of receptivity. And before we get into that topic, I do want to give a shout out. I know many of you follow the universe guru, Mina Irfan, and I am one of her CEO boss queens. I'm in her program, and in our last call, she kind of talked about how it's important to just sit down and do something. And since I've been wanting to do this live stream for a while, I was like, well, let me just do it. Let me just sit down and do it and try it and have that fire in my belly. So if any of my fellow CEO boss queens are watching this, go ahead and leave a comment or share in the chat. I love connecting with all of you as well. This is me doing it. So hello, Sylvie from France. Oh my goodness, welcome. I also love live streaming because I don't know, it's just a good way to connect to people from all over the world. It's magic, if you ask me. It's the magic in science and magic. So receptivity. This is such a sacred energy, and it's something that I've learned a lot about within my life. And I just want to introduce myself first. My name is Amanda Levesque. This is my channel, Science and Magic, and my specialty is working with high achieving, high performers and helping them to really slow down and inhabit their lives. Typically, my clients don't have a hard time getting stuff done. They don't have a difficult time achieving their goals, setting goals, and really waking up to a day full of work and to-dos. But what they have a hard time doing is resting down and back and building a relationship with their bodies and their minds. And so I help them with embodiment, which is essentially landing in your nervous system and landing in your body. And in doing that, they find more ease and more fulfillment in their already amazing life because they learn to inhabit their life as it exists. So with the energy of receptivity, a lot of my clients I find have a difficult time receiving. And in general, our society and our culture is very output oriented. And so it can feel unnatural to receive because especially with high achievers and high performers, it's more like native in our bodies to want to give, to output, to contribute, to hand over. And examples of receiving, it's not just physical items, but the energy of receiving can be translated into the energy of receiving a compliment, nice words, maybe, of course, gifts, but not just around holidays or cultural rituals, but just receiving a gift just for the heck of it. When we're down or having a really hard time and we're so vulnerable, receiving help, like being able to ask for help and truly receive it in a way where the body's soft. Receiving acts of service, so letting the door be held open for you while you walk through it. If you can think of any other examples of receiving, if you're tuning in live, you can add them in the chat. If you're watching this after, please include examples of receptivity that you can think of that maybe you've learned or that you're curious about. For me, I've been at the grocery store recently, and on 3 separate occasions, I've been loading my groceries into my car, and someone has offered to take my cart from me. Not always a worker. One time a worker, but a couple of other times just a passerby. Can I take your cart for you? And so I gracefully and gratefully received that help, because I've been working on this, and smiled, said thank you, rested down and back. And we're going to be talking about some embodiment exercises that you can do to translate that receptivity energy into the body as well, and not kind of gritting your teeth and saying thank you and feeling awkward about it, but truly holding that energy. Another example for me is on my birthday, I often receive I think many of us might, lots of messages and kindness and beautiful energy from people and kind words and compliments. And I used to kind of right away respond back, giving those messages, those people compliments back, like, thank you, this is reflected back to you, or you're such an amazing person too. I'm so grateful that you're in my life. So rather than holding that compliment or that energy, I would bounce it back to them. So that's life of one thing that I've learned is to just, when I receive those words, not only say thank you, I appreciate that, I fully receive that, but while I say that, what's going on in my body? Am I softening? Am I holding the energy in my heart? Am I expanding my nervous system and soothing it? And then also an example in my life that I've recently shared on my YouTube channel is I went through a really hard breakup about 6 months ago, and I was in a really hard place, and it was a really sweet place in so many ways. I was very vulnerable. I needed a lot of help. And my community, my friends really showed up for me. I didn't have a ton of energy to show up in my normal self-care practices, normal cooking habits, things like this. And my friends, they would cook meals for me, and they let me sleep on their couch, and showed up for me in so many ways. And I didn't have anything to give them back. And it was a huge lesson in receiving. So I hope that these examples are helping. Again, if you have examples about how you've learned to receive, you can share them with me as well. I want to kind of talk about common patterns that I see with my clients or my community of what happens when we receive, of common blocks to receptivity. The first one is kind of what I talked about with all these birthday texts that I would get or birthday messages. We want to shoot the energy back. So if you receive help, maybe your mind goes straight away to like, okay, so now what can I do for them? How can I give this energy back? Or let's say you receive donations or you receive financial support. Okay, where can I give this money back? Or receiving support of any kind, really, this tendency is to want to send that support back, send that energy back, because it feels like too much to hold. That's a common pattern that I see. The second one is that there's a feeling of awkwardness. So receiving help, receiving energy, there's a gritting of the teeth, a tightening of the jaw, the shoulders kind of come up, and the belly gets really tight. And this might translate into feeling awkward. This might translate into a shortness of breath. And in doing that, when we tighten the nervous system, it's really hard for that energy to come through and for it to be absorbed into the body. And some of this has to do with feeling safe. If we don't feel safe, it can be really hard to receive. And I talk about this in a lot of my videos about how to cultivate a state of safety and move the nervous system out of a state of fight or flight. That is really one of my areas of expertise. I have a background in neuroscience. I've been a yoga instructor for over 10 years. I'm a dancer. I've been dancing my whole life. And I have a bodywork practice. So I'm really comfortable in being with and holding trauma when it shows up, and providing a healing container for that trauma to be held. So moving from a state of fight or flight and activation and learning to work with the nervous system, learning about the signals so that there can be more of a baseline of ease and restfulness will help to be able to receive. The other pattern that I see is a feeling of I am putting someone out by receiving this thing. So someone is, giving money or offering their energy, helping you move, and you feel like, okay, well, I'm putting them out. And I think that this is a mindset of more scarcity, of they don't have enough. It's also projecting a story onto someone else of they are drained and they are, giving from a glass half empty cup. And I see this as a block because in that you can't really receive, and that might be some of that desire to bounce that energy back to that person. Another thing that I see is cultural conditioning around worth and output. I recently did a video of this where I had one of my clients on my channel, and we talked about how a lot of times our worth or our value is determined by the things that we do, what we're putting out there, the amount of things that we check off of a to-do list, the goals that we reach, the physical, tangible things that we put out into society. And all of this is wonderful. Like, it's great to strive for excellence, and it's amazing to accomplish your goals, but it has nothing to do with our innate worth. You know, I said this in a post the other day, but we're literally made of stardust and water and energy, and we are sacred and we are worthy and valuable in and of ourselves. So what happens is if we think that value comes from doing something, from providing output, well, when we receive, that doesn't feel like, okay, well, there's no like I'm not valuable, or this isn't a state of worthy, or I'm not gaining anything, or people aren't viewing me as sacred and worthy. So I think that this cultural conditioning around what we do, tying into, what sort of value that we offer society, is just, it makes it really, really hard to flip that. Like, what if it was, how much can I receive? Well, actually, our worth is just tied into just who we are, just being. It shouldn't even be about what we can receive. But imagine if that value was flipped. It's kind of hard for the brain to even think about that. And the last belief that I see is this pride in being independent. And I grew up with a very strong single mother. She had 3 jobs at one time. She raised 2 strong-willed girls, and she really had to put her foot down on many occasions and be both the masculine and the feminine energy and container for our family. And she prides herself on not receiving help. And so I had to undo a lot of beliefs that I'm proud of my mother. I think that she did an incredible job, but she had a really hard time receiving help. And especially in the Western world, independence, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, doing it on your own, that's really revered, that's really elevated. And I think that it's beautiful when we lean into each other and we receive help and we exist as an ecosystem and as a community. And that ties in with the energy of both giving and the energy of receiving. Stephanie says, how do I make myself feel safe? I have a very sensitive nervous system. Oh, love, this is such a deep question. Nervous system safety is key to a lot of this work about feminine energy and embodiment, and even feeling okay being in the body. And we could have a whole video of just this, and I talk about it in a lot of my videos. But I would say, first off, seek out support. So working with an expert. So you could work with a therapist or somatic experience practitioner. If you look that up, they really work with how trauma is held in the body. There's a lot of things that we can do on our own once we learn about the nervous system, we know the signals. But again, since this video is about receptivity, I'm curious for you of who are other safe nervous systems for you to be around, and how can you develop a sense of safety by co-regulating with them. So that would be step one. And you can feel free to email me if you have more questions about that, because this is where I really love to work and where I really love to assist my clients into finding more ease in their bodies. It is a huge topic. So thank you so much for asking that question. I want to reframe some of these beliefs about feminine energy. And when I say feminine energy, I guess I haven't introduced that in this video. Again, I talk about masculine, feminine energy interplays in other videos, and I've linked those in the video description. But you can think of these energies as energy, just that. And so they're held, we both have masculine, feminine energies in the body. And in general, masculine energy steps forward, it leads, it activates, there's output. feminine energy sits back, opens, softens, and receives. So when we talk about receptivity, we're innately talking about feminine energy. And I know many of you are interested in feminine energy. And this video is called Receive Like a Goddess because I believe that learning how to receive is an art, and it is one that is so important in our society. I believe that this dance between masculine and feminine energy is sacred. It is seen in nature. It is seen in every interaction. It is the energy that flows through and animates physical form. And if you only have output, if you only have that stepping forward, that giving energy, and there's no receptacle for that energy, there's nothing for it to be given to, then you're missing a divine puzzle piece. So what I offer to you is reframing this receptivity as putting someone out or not being able to hold it, or weaker than giving, or lack of value, as I am embodying goddess energy. I am embodying the divine feminine, which just as much as the divine masculine deserves a voice, deserves an animation into physical form. So thinking of it as a sacred energy exchange, and that you are choosing to animate one of those poles so that the divine masculine has the opportunity to give to something. So it's not just being sent out there, it is being held and received. That is a gift for the energy of the divine masculine. So also reframing it to, by you receiving, you are giving someone a gift. You are truly offering this wide open embrace for whatever they are offering. And you could think of this as like, let's say that you find a gift that you are so excited to give this specific person. And think of the joy you feel as they're opening up their gift, and the delight of their eyes and the way in which they receive it, and how much joy that gives you, because you have a receptacle, a soft opening to receive what you had to offer, to receive this energy that's pouring through you. It's the same sort of thing when we're receiving compliments, when we're receiving support, when we're receiving acts of service, all of those things. It is a gift for you to sit back, to open your gift, to be delighted by it. Another thing I like to do is think about how it's all energy. So this could help combat the belief that I'm putting someone out by receiving this blank from this person. They are being drained by giving to me. Think of any time that you receive that it's energy from the universe flowing through that channel, flowing through that person. So taking the story and the identity out of that specific person or that specific channel, and just saying like they are the vessel through which this divine energy is coming from. So in a sense, if everything is energy, then receiving compliments is the same energy as receiving a physical gift, as receiving a door being open for you, as receiving money, as receiving help of any kind. It's all receiving. So practicing receiving in any of these capacities opens up the ability to receive in all sorts of other ways, which I think the act of receiving, these little acts of receiving through people, through circumstances, opens us up to this fuller receiving of universal guidance. And when I say universe, I want to kind of demystify this, because there's an energy frequency that moves through nature, that moves through the way flower blooms, the way that a forest grows, the way that animals give birth. And this energy frequency is it's coded towards harmony, right? It's this harmonic frequency. It's beautiful. And so when I say the universe, I refer to this energy motion towards harmony. And when we can learn to receive, we can receive universal guidance. And that is the biggest gift. That is how I have learned to grow my business. That is how I've navigated my relationships. I don't think that my best ideas have come from me, because me is my conditioning. Me is the conditioning from family, from society. It often holds my limiting beliefs. The best ideas, the best guidance has come from the universe, from harmony, from unconditional love and support. And that feels like something flowing through me. So when I learn to soften and to hold and to receive energy, then I can learn to do that on a macro level with the universe. And that will change your life and change it really, really quickly. So ultimately, I think that's the biggest gift in receiving, is receiving from the energy field that's all around. So I want to offer some embodiment practices that you could do even now just to practice. And again, when I say embodiment, I'm saying pull into the body, practice through the body. I think in our society right now, we think so much and we learn so much information. Like, I don't know if anyone else is more prone to reading something or watching a YouTube video or, signing up for an email list, and less likely to actually sit down and do the thing or try the thing. But I find that that's a huge pattern. So here are some simple things that you can do to bring this energy of receptivity into the body. This is what it could feel like. The first offering I have is to literally receive sunlight on your skin. So when you step outside in the morning, in the middle of the day, maybe it's sunset, close your eyes if it feels okay. Feel your feet on the ground and feel the sunlight on your skin. Notice its warmth. And you might imagine all of the cells of the skin opening and receiving the energy from the sun, receiving the information, receiving the golden light. The next one I have is to receive a hug from a partner or from a friend. And I don't know, sometimes when I receive hugs from strangers, maybe, like, I'm not really a free hug kind of person. I don't know, call me crabby, but I'm not really into that. I'll feel my body kind of like tense up. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't want a hug. I don't want that. But think of a hug from someone who you really love to melt into. And maybe ask them for a hug today. And as you're doing this, really pay attention to the softening of your body. So let your shoulders relax, unclench the jaw, take 3 deep breaths. And with every breath, let yourself soften and unwind from the inside out. Feel the support of their arms around you. So in this exchange of a hug, if both people are tense or embracing, then it's this like really tense hug. But if one person is really holding, think of it as a hold, maybe not a hug. Think of it as a hold. Ask to be hugged and then ask to be held. And there's a difference there. If you're held, you can rest fully in your heart. You can be held in support. The next one is to receive the freshness of your favorite drink. It's warm today for me. It's summer. I have a glass of water here, and there is nothing like a glass of water on a hot summer day. So as you're drinking whatever beverage, maybe you like bubbly water, maybe you like a lemonade, or maybe it's cold where you're at. Maybe you're tuning in from somewhere where it's kind of chilly. Maybe it's a hot coffee or a hot tea. But as you're drinking it, I mean, you're literally, when you're consuming food or beverage, you are receiving into your body. So it's a great time to practice. Take a few moments, just breathe with that beverage in front of you, and then drink and taste it on your tongue, and then feel it going down your throat and literally becoming a part of you. That's receiving too. And you can thank it for its blessings, whatever you're consuming. Like, thank you, water, for hydrating me and replenishing me and revitalizing me. And cultivating this state of gratitude means, like, thank you, I'm receiving it. I receive your blessings. And that sort of energy can carry through into our relationships, into any space that we're receiving, is that generating of gratitude. So really, I want you to think of softening. Like, a lot of this work is around softening, especially when it comes to embodiment. You can think of having your feet on the ground, feeling the space behind you, because if we think about receiving, it's about resting back and opening our energy up. And this can come from the heart. Now, the heart can feel kind of, for some people, it can feel kind of tight or anxiety provoking to be in the heart. But if you kind of soften the heart, if that's available to you, you rest the energy back, you soften whatever you feel is being held, like the jaw, the shoulders, you can feel the armpit soften. And then you breathe into your belly. And then you imagine that energy just settling into your system and cultivate a state of gratitude, this feeling of like, thank you, I receive you, whether it's a compliment, an act of service, a gift, whatever it is. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to post them in the chat or in the comments if you're watching the replay of this. I'm really grateful that you all tuned in to my very first live stream. It's interesting. It can be a vulnerable thing to let yourself be seen in real time and be seen in all of the rawness that you are. So I'm grateful for all of you for tuning in and being a part of this experience for me. And thank you to Mina Irfan, one of my coaches, for pushing me to just do it and grow and to continue to evolve as a human being, as a spirit, and offering my work and my heart to the world. So thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.